I'm going to do something different this morning. I'm not going to talk about politics. I'm not going to talk about pop culture, even though there's plenty of it out there. I'm going to talk about something that I witnessed this morning, and I kind of put a few things together. So, let me ask you this question. When you think of 80s music, what do you think about? You think about R&B, pop, the evolution of pop, the evolution of hip hop, and all that's correct. But I realized something this morning, and I'm like, does anybody else get this? I'm pretty sure there are some people, especially musically inclined people, but just your ordinary Joe, do they think about this? So I do the same thing every day. I hardly break my routine. I watch my Leave It to Beaver. After that, I watch Tales from the Dark Side, the 80s series, TV series. And it was an episode that came on called Miss Medusa. Miss M-I-S-S, May, M-A-Y, Dusa, D-U-S-A, or D-U-S-E. I want to say D-U-S-A. Miss Medusa. And it's basically, it's a spoof, just like the majority of these 80s or 80s flicks or TV series like that. There was this mannequin. She's in a pawn shop. The guy breaks in. They lock eyes. Her eyes turn him into a mannequin or a stone or whatever. She grabs some sunglasses, throw on, and she goes out and she talks to this blind guy. I don't think at the beginning she knew he was blind. So they're in a subway in New York City, and the guy plays a saxophone. Now, before I go any further, let me tell you what inspired this whole particular podcast. When the movie when the TV show first came on, the music was playing was almost like from a keyboard. Because I remember my mom and my dad bought me a keyboard at the age of 12, 13, 14, something like that. And I remember this sound. So it plays on until the first scene. And then the guy starts playing his saxophone. Smooth, beautiful melody. I put those two together. The keyboard sounds from when the show first came on to him playing the saxophone. I put these two things together. Throughout the 80s, once we got away from that disco stuff, we started hearing jazz tunes in movies, jazz tunes in TV shows, jazz tunes in music, period. There's many different songs and videos I could relate back to that had this sound. It was absolutely beautiful. When I think of 80s music other than your genres, even jazz, I think about this particular, because listen, Spike Lee used it in pretty much all of his movies. Go back and watch some 80s Spike Lee movies. You're going to get saxophone, you're going to get that jazz tone, and you're going to get that keyboard sound. That was a artist, God Almighty, I can't remember her name. I'll think about it here in a minute. One of her songs started off with a particular instrument, and I asked my wife, because my wife, she was musically inclined. She was in a band and all that good stuff. I asked her what particular instrument made this sound, because it was beautiful. And to be honest with you, it was a keyboard. Now, it is a particular instrument to make that particular sound, but with that keyboard, you gonna get all type of sounds. And then in that one particular song, it was the keyboard. I'm still trying to think of the woman's name, and I'm trying to talk at the same time. Jody Watley, that's her name, Jody Watley. And it was another. Hold on 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Hell, I don't even know where I left off, but let me just start by saying basically, yeah. When I think of, I don't even know how to categorize it, because the majority of this music that I'm talking about, the saxophones, the jazz play, the keyboard play, you heard a lot of it in music. You saw a lot, you heard a lot of it in movies and in TV shows. But in my opinion, it has its own place. You know what I'm saying? I know many people watching this is not gonna go back and watch Tales from the Dark Side, Miss Medusa. I doubt if anybody on this earth is gonna do that. But if you do, you'll understand what I'm saying. The beginning of the TV show, the music playing, and throughout the TV show when he's playing the saxophone. If you go back to the 80s and just listen to music, watch movies, and watch some old TV shows from the 80s, you're gonna get this exact same sound. And to me, that's what defined the 80s, internally and externally, if that makes any sense. I can tell you a million movies that came from the 80s that just inspired me and did this and did that. I can tell you a million songs came from the 80s that inspired me and did this and did that. What's hard for me to explain is this particular music, inside and outside of movies and music in general and TV shows, gets to my core. Listen, I'm not putting this together correctly. I'm not giving you too much context. I hate to say I'm rambling because I'm trying to make a point. I'm just not doing it intelligently. But I think Spike Lee and his 80s movies would be the prime example of the point I'm trying to make. I'm not a fan of Spike Lee at all, but the music in his movies, whether it's School Days, Malcolm X, Jungle Fever, Do the Right Thing. Well, I don't think Do the Right Thing had that type of music in it, but the rest of them did. It was that jazzy, yet a lot of the sounds you heard, you would think they were instruments, but yet they were keyboards. Now, they were a lot of saxophones played, but a lot of those other sounds came from keyboards. And I remember as a kid when my parents bought me my keyboard, my first and only keyboard, I would just get on there because I can't read music. That's ironic for somebody who was in choral and choir from junior high all the way to college, you know. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I remember making those sounds and trying to mimic what I heard in these movies, and it was just beautiful, 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 beautiful. Anyway, I wanted to get away from a lot of the noise of the day and just try to talk about something other than that. I wish I was musically inclined and I could get more in depth with this, but I'm not. I'm just an outside observer, so that's my opinion, that's my thoughts. Tell me what you guys think. You know, I love you and I appreciate you. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, we keep him first, and I'll see you next time.